everybody. Welcome to Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast of Boss Rush Games. You can go to the website, bossrushgames.com, to find all of our other shows as well. But I am your host, Jesse Douglas, and today I am here with some fresh faces. Corey is back.
Hello.
And we're going to welcome LeRon today. This is his first time on Arsenal X, I believe. So, how's it going?
First time in this format, but what's popping, y'all?
Not too much. Had kind of a fun day today. My son's birthday was more recently, and he got a whole bunch of cash money, and so we literally like a bunch of teenage girls. We went hopping all over to stores in the mall and stuff today, literally from I think 11 o'clock till I think we got done around 3 or 4 o'clock.
Nice.
So but luckily, he's I'm finding out that he's into some stuff that I never would have been in at his age, and it makes me proud and really glad, because one thing that I never was into at a young age was reading, and he loves to read books and stuff, and he bought a $50, it was $50 at Barnes and Noble, but it's 10 books, and what it is it's they're called the I Survived series. And each book is about a different either, I think that's based on some realistic history moments and some just popular stories. One of them has a big shark on it, so I'm wondering if it's something to do with Jaws, or I don't quite know what it's about. I'm curious to find out, but one of them is about 9/11, and so it's you're actually he's learning about history, but it's these kids are able to go back into time in this thing that they've made or whatever, and then they can go back and experience it, and kind of so they get to live in those moments throughout history and stuff like that. So it's kind of it seems interesting. But yeah, two things when I was younger that I did not care about was history and reading. so more power to him. I'm glad. But that, and then of course he got a bunch of fun things and stuff too. But he loves to read and stuff. That was one of the things that he really wanted for his birthday, was gift cards for Barnes and Noble, so he could go pick some books out. So I'm glad, because he's going to be so much better off than I was, and I still to this day I pay for it. I am awful at spelling. I'm awful at grammar. I'm awful at all that stuff, because I had attention deficit disorder, so reading was one of the most difficult things for me to do, because I couldn't retain anything that I read. I just completely would forget the last paragraph I read. Everything that I read, it felt like a waste of time. And so it was really difficult for me, growing up to do well at that kind of stuff. And I pay for it today a lot, but yeah. So I'm glad he's not having that problem that I did.
I hear you on that part, where man, just reading is just unless I'm 1,000% into it, it's I don't even remember what I read on this website I looked at 5 seconds ago. You know what I mean? It's just I just can't.
And it translates, unfortunately, it translates to games. RPGs are some of the worst. I cannot get into them, because if there's too much reading and stuff, I can read it, but for me, I would rather it be acted out and have actual voiceover work and stuff like that, because I can retain that. I can retain hearing stuff with visuals, but reading text that is just in a book somewhere in the game or whatever, I don't care, man. I'm hitting that button to go past it, because I'm gonna remember just as much as me skipping it all as reading it. So why even bother? So
Yeah, like that's a card in this day and age. I feel like it's a cardinal sin if your game content is more reading than audio or in dialogue.
yeah, yeah. Like I understood it back in the day when it was very, it was a lot more expensive and
And also,
difficult.
tech
But
was limited back then.
yeah, but now I mean,
I
yeah,
remember
there's not much excuse for it. So yeah,
I remember being wild when I popped the Super Metroid in the NES and the SNES for the first time and hearing the last Metroid.
yeah,
Yeah, you just hearing that voiceover. I was like, oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah,
Yeah.
The last Metroid is in captivity. That was the line. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just yeah, it's always for me like there's been a lot of books that I've digested by audiobook. Um there's actually real I watched the whole entire series of that show that's on Apple TV Plus called Calls, and it's essentially it's a audio with some visual TV show, but it's the only visuals in it is they show like wavelength lines of like audio lines, like you would see like on whatever sci-fi stuff where you see those like the bouncing lines or like audio lines of when you're recording something or whatever. And then it just at each end of the line it will just have the person who's talking on each end, so who's talking. But other than that, there is no real visuals to it because the whole thing is just based around phone calls. And it's a sci-fi show, but it's all visual or all audio based, just based on phone calls and explaining what's happening in the moments. And it is a really good show. Like, and the nice thing is you can just listen to it. If you don't want to watch it, you can just listen to it and just kind of almost live in the experience and let your mind kind of wander with your own visual thoughts of what's going on, similar to like a podcast and stuff. So it's interesting. I definitely suggest that if you got Apple TV Plus, that you definitely give that a shot. But
I think I still have some of my, because like when I got my new phone, I got a year for free, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like if you like that kind of like sci-fi kind of uh um like Black Mirror esque kind of stuff. It's similar to that, but it's more of an audio experience, and there's tension and everything there because like you can hear like when situations are happening, and you can hear people in the background of like while the person's on the phone, like you can hear things going on, and like the phone's cutting out, and all those kind of tension kind of things
Yeah.
that you can create, and they do a really good job of. And the cast is like star-studded. It's insane. Like, I mean, I'm talking like really really famous actors and actresses doing the audio for it too. So, and every episode is kind of a different situation, but it's all kind of part bits and pieces of this main story of what's going on. So it's like I definitely worth giving it a shot if you got like I literally signed up for Apple TV Plus just so I could watch that.
Oh, okay. This is my first time. This is my first time hearing about it. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah. And there's another
I mean,
show too that's on there that's good.
I mean, I think the only show anybody's ever heard of on Apple TV Plus is Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Well,
which I hear is amazing, but
For All Mankind is a really good one on there too. That's like one of those alternate reality ones where Russia beat us to the moon, and then the aftermath and the damage that did to the U.S. and how we deal with it, and kind of ultimately just completely changes the course of U.S. history, as to what we know it in real life, to to something completely different. And it's very much like that Man in the High Castle that I absolutely love on Amazon. So, but yeah, there's a couple of good things on there, but I was surprised at the lack of content that's on there for it being even the $5 or whatever a month.
Yeah.
There's not much on there that you can watch through that service. A lot of it you still have to pay for. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so otherwise, how have things been with you guys? Is there anything in particular, LeRon, that you got going on that you want to talk about?
It's been a busy week for me, and my buddy Corey here just kept me even more busy with formatting and stuff for like pod clips and the new thumbnail design and everything, which is cool. It's like, man, I gotta brush up on my Photoshop now.
Sorry, we started doing it with Tower Casuals. That look, and
I noticed it, and I didn't want to rush you to start begging for it.
Yeah, and I was like, man, this is so cool. These thumbnails take a lot of time to do because you have to because for some reason Destiny is such a huge game, but nobody produces transparent files for any of the characters, so I have to sit there and cut them all out in Photoshop, which takes forever. But it's since we started the new thumbnails and the pod clips, our traffic to the YouTube channel has gone up. But yeah, sorry, LeRon.
It's okay.
I gave everybody new projects to do.
Whoops. That's okay. I like, you know what? Honestly, I'm not really complaining about it. Like, it's actually helping me, like, step up my game.
Yeah, because you need to step up your game, LeRon. You're doing terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, but this week has been a busy week for me. Just with work. I'm doing the work and life balance thing right now. So like the job, like I'm an IT guy, so we took on a new client, and it was basically like hand holding and a whole bunch of stuff, getting them acclimated to how things go, because like we're not implementing a new system for how they run their office, but the way that we're streamlining it for them, it basically is like a new system for them, But and then two podcast shows. Well, technically three if you include this one this week. Would have been four, but Jacob and I we were not ready to come back to Hunters for Hire just yet. we got some stuff going on. When Hunters for Hire comes back, it'll be episode 5. We got some behind the scenes stuff going on, and that's been it. And then Mass Effect dropped this week. Well, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition dropped this week, and I actually was actually live on YouTube last night. Well, live in the fact that like it was actual live gameplay, like nobody saw my face. As a matter of fact, I put it as no commentary because I want to keep it as pristine as possible. But when I do
the part I watched, by the way, not to cut you off, because we were I was editing we did a Mario Party stream last night. And by the way, if you are anxious to hear some PG-13 jokes about pole climbing, check out that stream. I was editing it, and I was talking to Ed, and I was watching the stream because I wanted to see what Mass Effect looked like, right? Like I wanted to see the gunplay and stuff, and I just see LeRon being a dick to that guy and trying to get grenades from him. I'm like, oh my god, LeRon's being a renegade. I don't like this.
I straddle the line between Paragon and Renegade in all the Mass Effect games. Like I usually wind up being slightly more Paragon than Renegade by the time it's all over.
Well, and that kind of goes into, you can actually, if you want, we could get into what we've been playing for with that, if you actually, because we might as well just hop into that, and you can just kind of talk about what you've been playing, LeRon.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, it's been Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. It kind of released at a weird time. Because I'm playing it on Steam. And May 14th was the day that it was supposed to be out, and I'm normally used to games being out at midnight or 12:01 a.m.
Mhm.
And so I stayed up Thursday night just so I could make sure. I just wanted to see the intro. That was all. I didn't even want to play it that night. I stayed up Thursday night so I could start it up and just see the intro and be all nostalgic about it and everything.
Mhm.
And also kind of look at something.
Please tell me the title screen is the Mass Effect 1 title screen where it's like just the ambient synth sound.
It is. But the freaking background. Like, okay, in the original game, it was just the scape of the planet. Like you saw, just like the planet in the background, right?
Mhm.
Well, it's more vibrant now. There's an actual moon in the image too, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in the in outer space. Like there's a lot of detail. That's one thing. When you start the game, when they're talking about bringing Shepard in for this mission and everything, and possibly making him a Spectre and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as they're pulling back from the viewport that Shepard's looking out of at that planet, you can actually see Shepard's reflection in the window.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
and
sexy.
yeah, the text, by the way, because Mass Effect One, like when you had your subtitles on, Mass Effect One had different had different text than Mass Effect 2 and 3. Mass Effect 2 and 3 had the same text.
Mhm.
But now Mass Effect 1 has these same text that was used for Mass Effect 2 and 3 subtitles. And that's all I'm really going to say without spoiling much about it.
Yes,
Because
please don't spoil this 14-year-old game that everybody should have played already.
yeah, no, I mean just you gotta look for the surprises for yourself. Okay, one more surprise. One more spoiler. When you use a sniper rifle, the sniper rifle actually sits still when you're looking down the reticle.
Oh, thank God. It's not like that weird RPG style mechanic from the first game, like the original first game, right? Where like if you don't have your points put into it, you're not like,
Yes,
whoa, I'm supposed to
yeah.
be this cool space soldier and I can't aim a gun.
I can't hold a gun properly. Yeah, no, not like that at all.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So it feels more like 2 and 3 a little bit, the first game.
Yes, yeah. So far from what I've seen, because I just finished the Eden Prime stuff. So I'm heading to the Citadel right now.
Nice.
Great. That's awesome. I'm while we've been sitting here hanging out, I actually just bought it. So
Good on you.
well,
Good on you.
if we might get yelled at in the morning, but that's okay. That's fine.
Be
Is
like,
that
be like, honey, what did you do?
Speaking of Mass Effect, though, I found a physical copy of Mass Effect Andromeda for $4. So
Oh.
I spent $4 on that, and now it's sitting on my shelf and will never be opened.
you know
Because
what
it's
I
Mass
don't
Effect Andromeda.
you know what I don't get is why is Destiny 2 for like physical still like $23 in the store or $25 or whatever it is. Like
Because it's
I came across a
physical
copy of
copy
it.
of the game.
I know, but I came across a copy of it today and I'm like they should probably just repackage this with like the new the new season like pass or whatever in with them if they're gonna
Yeah.
do that. But it probably just costs way too much money to keep on releasing it every time they come out with a new expansion essentially.
Yeah, they didn't even release a physical edition for Beyond Light.
Yeah.
Like there was
Well,
no box copy of Beyond Light whatsoever.
yeah. Well, actually, what they should do is they should just produce essentially like get rid of the physical copies like altogether and just do the digital
Yeah.
the
I think
digital seasons.
I think that's what they're doing. I think
Yeah.
I think whatever you see left is what they have left.
Yeah.
They did do a physical version for Forsaken, but I don't think they did one
Yeah.
for Shadowkeep, and I know they didn't do one for Beyond Light. So
Yeah, because I remember the Forsaken one, the the whole the alternate cover and stuff on it. But yeah,
yeah.
All right, is that all you've been playing, LeRon?
Monster Hunter.
Essentially,
Monster
Yeah.
Hunter Rise on the Switch.
That's
Like,
not
actually-
an Xbox platform.
Yeah, actually, I was planning on playing that, but I'm hanging out with you guys tonight, and you know what? I'm not complaining about it.
I saw that like after I asked you to come hang out with us tonight. I was like, you should be on the show, and then I opened Twitter and it's like, getting ready to start my Monster Hunter stream 1 minute ago. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, Corey, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing Outriders. It's my game of the year so far. I love Outriders.
It just makes me laugh so much because you and like so many people were down on it in the beginning, like from the demo, and
Well,
like
here's
that's
the thing.
a lot of people, because that demo did suck.
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, when Outriders was on Game Informer's cover, I was like, oh man, the Gears Judgment guys are making a cool looter game that's like third person, looks like it plays like Gears with a little bit of Destiny influences in there. I'm ready. This looks awesome. Then it got delayed. I'm like, okay, it got delayed. Then it got delayed again. I'm like, oh boy. Then Square's like, we're putting out a demo and your progress carries over like 2 months before the game comes out. I'm like, oh no, this game's gonna not be great. And then I played the demo. I'm like, oh no, this game's not great. And then they announced it was coming to Game Pass. I'm like, oh no, this game's gonna suck because they're putting it on Game Pass day one. But honestly, after the first I would say hour and 15 minutes or so, that game opens up and you get your powers and you're actually doing like real missions and stuff. The game is a game that's totally built for the types of games that I like.
Yeah.
Cover-based shooter, plays just like, dude, it plays so much like Gears. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I picked the Pyromancer, so I have like a fire whip that drains people's lives while it gives me health. I've got Incendiary, where like my hands catch on fire and it turns all my bullets in the gun. Which, by the way, as long as Incendiary mode's on, infinite bullets.
Yeah.
I have that, and then I have like this firewall that can, set people on fire, and I have this other ability where if you hit both shoulder buttons at the same time, it marks all the enemies and actually makes them like pop out of cover if they're in cover, so you can see where they're at. And then it marks them with a little red dot above their head.
Nice.
It's been a few days since I played, but this is like, I love this game. I don't care what anybody says. Now, granted, it's got some problems, right? Like, it's not a perfect game, but it's the perfect game for me. It's got really cheesy writing. It's got over-the-top dialogue. The story makes sense, but not in a way that makes you care all about it. It's just like, okay, humans destroyed Earth. They're on this new planet. They thought it was safe. It's not. You get hit by this storm that gives you superpowers, and now you just shoot your way through these bad guys.
It sounds like a plan. Yeah, it's like that's the thing is, I know, and and that's fine. I have nothing against it whatsoever. People can, feel how they want to about it, but like, I was kind of rolled my eyes a little bit when people were taking the writing and all that stuff, like just being so critical about it, because I'm like, it just, like, to me, it just is not taking itself seriously whatsoever. Like, it's supposed to be bad. Like to me, like the main character is like, he is just awesome and how awful he is. As a speaker, and it's like, it's almost like Duke Nukem for me. Like I take him as seriously as Duke Nukem.
It's not that bad, but I mean,
but it's close. It's close to just being like, because I just absolutely, like, I just got to that part a little bit ago, and I know they talked about it on another podcast, but I absolutely love the part when you're by that volcano thing or whatever, and and they're like, oh, we can't go over that volcano because something in there, always kills everyone, and blah blah blah. So we got to try to find a different way there. And he's like, oh, so what you're saying is I need to take care of kill whatever is in the volcano, and they're
Yeah.
just like, no. Like,
Yeah.
are you crazy? And he's like, oh yeah, well, just tell me how to get there. Like,
Yeah.
essentially, he's like, I don't give a shit, man. What?
Yeah,
You,
I mean
you're
that's the whole
talking about,
character. It's like
yeah,
it's funny because like there's this whole serious story going on around him about survival
yeah,
and stuff, and he just walks in. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Just tell me where to go. I'll
yeah,
just take care of it. Like there's this side mission that opens up after you kill the giant volcano spider, which
yeah.
by the way, did on world tier 7 by myself, and it took me almost an hour and a half to do, and it was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I hate myself for keeping it on that high of a world tier, but the loot is so good. And I'm like, man.
Yeah, man. This game does get difficult. Like,
Oh yeah.
Man.
I regret playing it by myself at that world tier, but I did anyway.
Yeah.
But there's this side mission that opens up about a cult, and you have to go kill the cult leader. And then after you kill the cult leader, the cultists like start worshiping you.
That's awesome.
He's like, he like points at the door. He's like, "Go, run away, leave," and they're like bowing down, worshiping him. So he just takes a gun and like just starts shooting in the air. He's like, "Get out of here, fuckers!" It's really so,
Oh yeah.
it's so good.
I just like if you don't take that game seriously, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and I get like people want good stories out of games.
Yeah.
But there's room for those games, right? Like, but there's also room for games that just like don't give a shit what you think about it, right? It's just like, I don't care. Just let me go. Just let me play the game.
That's exactly why I fell in love with Saints Row 3.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and surprisingly enough, though, Saints Row actually had a decent story.
Yeah,
but it was
like,
also ridiculous.
it's funny too. Like the games that you end up like the stories you're not really supposed to care about are the ones you end up caring about the most. Sometimes.
The most. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
like, I mean, look at, for me, Far Cry 5 was my favorite game of the year. That was my personal game of the year, and everyone talked about how awful and dumb the storyline was, but I just loved how ridiculous it was. Like any of that cult kind of stuff like that, I just find fascinating, and just I thought it was hilarious the way they did it, and just how cheesy it was with like the whole like drug stuff, like them making this drug stuff that like makes people like all like starry-eyed and like not care and whatever. Like it just was so ridiculous, and like the characters were just so dumb and ridiculous, but that's what made it so interesting to me, is because it wasn't taking itself too seriously. Like there was a seriousness to it, but it was so obvious that it just was not trying to be some like movie tier like storyline, like it just was trying to be something goofy, like I feel like most of the Far Cry games have been. They've kind of always had that hint of just ridiculousness,
Yeah.
But
I love games like that. I mean it's at that point where like I mean I've also been playing Destiny, so I guess I'll talk about that a little bit, where like I used to like not really care about the story in Destiny, where especially because like Destiny 1, like nobody knew what was happening. It took a YouTuber to make sense of the story of Destiny 1. My name is Bife, by the way. Incredible lore YouTuber. If you are into lore of any game, especially Destiny, because I mean that's kind of what he specializes in, is Destiny, but he went into a little bit of Outriders lore. He went into Warframe a little bit. Like he does some things like that, but he's mostly a Destiny lore guy.
yeah,
He's amazing. He's like the greatest YouTuber who ever lived. He has like 4 and 5 hour videos of like each of just breaking down specific events in Destiny lore that you don't even see in the game. right?
Yeah.
It's just wild. And yes, I've watched them all.
Yeah.
I wish they were in podcast form, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Should maybe suggest that to him, because that would be pretty cool.
But I've also been playing the new season in Destiny, Season of the Splicer, where you are partnering with the House of Light of the Fallen, who are, they're kind of like this. If you've played Destiny, you can listen to Tower Casuals if you want to hear more about it. But they're just this fallen house who still worships the Traveler, even though the Traveler abandoned them for humanity. And we're partnering with them to try to take on the Vex offensive, which is coming. The city is in Endless Night, which is like an overpowered Vex simulation that has caused the sun to go black. And so that's cool. I really love the aesthetic. If you are a fan of anything from 80s arcade era stuff, and you get sucked into these Vex simulations, it's basically just, pink and purple and blue wire-framed levels that you're running through to stop the simulations. It's so cool. It's some of the best aesthetic that I've ever seen in Destiny. And since it's a computer program, a simulated computer program, you're basically hacking into the Matrix into these programs is basically how you're getting in there. And to stop them, and it's some of the coolest art I've seen. If we don't get some PvP maps or some Gambit maps with this aesthetic this season, I'm gonna be kind of upset. Also, if you want to hear Josh ramble on about how bad PvP is in Destiny right now with stasis, dude, I've never seen someone so upset in my life.
Dude.
Sorry, Josh. It's Destiny's not a PvP game anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like I played PvP when it first came out. Like shortly after it first came out, but honestly, I think like after the first big expansion, like that game was really difficult to play PvP, and because you have to keep up on every single gun, like every single like thing that you can get, and like it, because I tried going into it with whatever I had for guns, and I would literally just be instantly just mowed down, because nothing I had could even remotely compete with what I was getting shot at with. So it just was really like you have to stay up on top of everything to have any kind of chance.
Not only do you have to stay up on it, you have to be good with those weapons too. But right now it's like if you're using stasis, and with the new the way you upgrade stasis now is like you can overpower for a PvP game that's supposed to be very kinetic and very fast paced, and stasis is the ice powers that you get. For those who don't know, you are frozen all the time. If you're not using stasis, you might as well just not play PvP. And if you're not using shotguns, you might as well just not play PvP. Like it's a shotgun fest with ice powers, and it's just not great. Although, as someone who sucks, I've fallen into the I'm going to use stasis and shotguns trap because I don't feel like sucking. So you can yell at me if you want, because I'm part of the problem. But
trust me, as someone who plays Fortnite often lately, no game in the world that I have ever played has ever been more frustrating when it comes to someone using the same weapon over and over. Like shotguns in that game are just so overpowered, like just so badly overpowered, and like literally to the point of where people will shoot at you with a shotgun from medium to close range at all times, and they'll run around with a shotgun. A shotgun should never be that powerful that you can run around with it as your main, unless like it's more of a close combat game like Halo was or something, like where at least the quarters are it's a closed in map. But when you're playing an open battle royale game and you're running around with the shotgun as your main, that something is too overpowered. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because that's like literally 99% of the time that I die, it's from a shotgun. Because literally that's all anyone uses in there.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. But I do like the new season. Seasons are going to get real weird soon because of they delayed the next main expansion into early next year.
Oh, okay.
So next season's going to be like 6 months long instead of 3. And it's gonna be time to take a little bit of a break from Destiny soon, but also it's the new season is fun. If you're into Destiny, I recommend checking it out. The new armor sets are cool. The new weapons are cool. My favorite weapon of all time is actually back, and is the Nightfall Weapon next week, which I'm very excited for. Hung Jury. It's a scout rifle. Okay. It's a scout rifle with a perk called Firefly on it, where if you headshot someone, the bullet turns into a bunch of explosive rounds and does damage to people around them also. So
nice.
It's very nice. So,
yeah. Speaking of, that is the one thing I really, really liked about what is the other game you're talking about now?
Outriders.
Yeah, Outriders. Like I really liked that you get guns with perks and stuff on it like almost instantly.
Yeah.
And like they did a really good job.
Even the I think their exotic weapons, parallels called. I think they're called what, epic or legendary or something.
Yeah.
Get really cool perks really fast, and like since there's no balancing to the game because there's no PvP to balance with it, they get really crazy with some of those perks.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it really does. Like, and like you said, I understand Destiny can't quite do that because, unless they turned off perks completely in PvP. But yeah, like that is one thing that I really absolutely love. And just like, again, like I said, like how early on you can get some of those really good perks. Because in Destiny, a lot of times some of the best perks are locked behind guns that you really gotta either do like you gotta do raids or do whatever to get anything
the huge
good.
Exotic quests. And then like some of them don't even unlock the best perk until you do the catalyst, which is another probably like 5 to 10 hours of grinding, and it's just like, oh man, make it stop.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry for that long tangent.
That's fine. So that's all then basically that you've been playing.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about for now.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. One more thing. I played the first level of Titanfall 2 with FPS boost on Xbox Series X, and oh boy, that game runs at 120 really, really nice. It like hurt my eyes to watch it run that fast. It was really nice. I know, LeRon, you're a super PC guy and probably play it like 4,000 frames a second, at 8K on your 75-inch TV above your face right now. But us peasants who
I'm modest. I played at 120 frames. I like knowing. I like knowing that I can get to that point, though. But I'm modest.
I know. Like when all this boost stuff started coming out, like I'm like, oh man, do I really need to start thinking about getting a 4K TV that can do over 60 frames now? Because I thought I was gonna be content with not needing one, but I mean, like all these games, like just because like yeah, like especially Titanfall 2, like that if there's a game that I would want to play at high frame rates, it's that one just because that game just looks so amazing even in the like 60 or 30 or whatever it was running in originally, but yeah, I would that's one of those games that I do want to go back and just play the campaign too because like still to this day is one of the best FPS campaigns that I've ever played. So, like I'm glad that there's a renewed uh interest in that game, and a lot of people I've been seeing, who did because of that boost, they went back and they played it and they're like, holy cow, how did I not play this, this campaign? It's so good. There's a lot of people that played it for the first time now and absolutely, fell in love with it like we did when it came out. And it's just really good to see, especially like I can't imagine the guys at Respawn are probably just like absolutely just think, just love that people are experiencing that again. And some people for the first time because yeah, it was unfortunately way overlooked when it first came out. But yeah, for me, I haven't really been playing a whole lot on my Xbox recently, other than stuff that I play with friends or whatever. Like I said, like I play Fortnite with my friends and stuff like that. But I did go back to Control though, because I was really bummed that that you can't that your save from when I originally beat the game, that save didn't transfer over to the Series X version of it, which really sucks because all I needed to do then was play the expansions, and you can't just skip right to the expansions. You have to finish the regular game to get to it. Well, luckily I found out that they have cheat codes you can turn on, and you still get you still get rewards and stuff even if you have the cheats on. So I just turned it on where I can't die, and it's a one shot kill for anything including bosses. And I'm just grinding through it, and then once I get to the expansion I'm gonna turn those things off and then play it the regular way. So I just essentially I'm doing this just to speed through the beginning that I already played.
Hey,
Wow.
hey! No, nobody's knocking you for doing that.
No, I mean,
cheater.
And like I said though, like yeah, it's cool that you can just turn them on and off whenever you feel like, right in the middle of gameplay even. Like you can turn those cheats on and off. But yeah, and I still so now I'm getting second, for the second time I'm getting those the achievements for that game because it's technically considered a whole brand new game. So but yeah, so I like in there's those areas in Control where you can't go in them unless you have a certain like ability. Well, because I can't die, I can just go in there and my health is just keeps on flashing, but I don't die, and I can just go and grab those things that are in there that you can that I can just now get without any of the abilities to do it or whatever. So yeah, so I went back to that and I've been trying to grind through the beginning of that so I can experience the Alan Wake stuff and all that because I really want to see that stuff. And then I've started Resident Evil 8. I put it on hold because of stuff that I'll talk about more on Boss Rush tomorrow, but
oh wow, you got a PS.
Yeah, I got a PS4, so I've been playing some stuff on there. Yeah, and thanks to the whole game share, library share stuff, I essentially have access to every single exclusive game for PS4, and I didn't have to pay anything except for what I paid for to buy the console and stuff from my friend. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit of playing on that, but I'm gonna be jumping here because I finished what I was playing on there for now. And so I want to go back into Resident Evil 8 a bit, but yeah, mostly Control and that stuff, and Resident Evil 8, and a little bit of Far Cry 5, just to experience that running at the 60 frames at 4K instead of the 30 that it originally ran at. So because that was one of the many games that got a boost. So that's pretty much all that I've been playing. So let's get into the news now that we're almost an hour in. We've got a lot of news. There is a lot of stuff to talk about this week. I mean, part of that is also because I may have missed a week, but I don't think there was a whole lot going on during that week, to be honest. So, all right. So the Arsa news. The first thing that we have is a lot of talk about Starfield, and a lot of talk about it being an exclusive. And so there's been a lot of reporting on it, obviously, and someone had essentially came out and like it's not official an official Xbox person, if I recall, that said it, but he is just basically saying, yeah, like it's no secret that Starfield is going to be exclusive for Xbox or whatever, essentially.
I mean, they bought Bethesda. I don't see why it really wouldn't, unless they had some kind of weird contractual obligations like they did with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, right? That's the other one.
Yeah.
So
and they never really talked about formats in general at all, like if I remember correctly with this game. I don't think they even said whether it was going to be on Xbox One or be on Xbox Series X or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they really specified anything, so therefore they have nothing to hold any kind of promises to anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
but
I mean, I know, LeRon, you're a PC gamer, so if you play this game, you'll probably play it there. But I know, since you host our PlayStation show, are you guys going to talk about this? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, we are going to talk about it because I think Austin had interest in this. So I'm gonna see what he's I'm gonna see what he's feeling about it. As a matter of fact, I'll reach out to him tomorrow, see if he wants to run it just for a talking topic. If anything, it'll probably be a blurb because we don't need to go in like super deep into this one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I have somewhat of an interest in it, so I probably will pick it up on PC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which like that's the thing is Microsoft, like they want to make sure that people have the ability to play these games. You might not be able to play it if you have a PlayStation, but they're trying to give people options at least. It's not completely cut off to their console and their console only. Like that. Well, that's the nice thing about it. I mean,
yeah. I've always said most households have a PC and one of the regular consoles. Most households, and by regular consoles I mean like the PlayStation or the Xbox, because I feel like with the way Nintendo consoles are right now, Nintendo consoles are like they're like the side chick of of consoles. So like you have a PC, you have a main console, and you have a Switch or a 3DS or whatever.
Wife, a girlfriend, and a mistress.
Yes, basically.
well, and theoretically, now because I'll be honest, I haven't really looked a whole lot into this yet, but it is something that I would like to go over more on this show about one of these episodes. But so Game Pass is browser based now. I wonder, does that mean essentially that there could possibly be a browser based version of Game Pass you could play through the browser on your PS 5? Like, I mean
I mean, it depends. I don't even know what browser the PS5 has, but I know that they have it working on Edge if you really want to play your Xbox games like that on Xbox, like whatever the browser is on Xbox One and Xbox Series X. Like, Game Pass works through that browser.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Which I mean, that is the best way to play it, essentially, if you think about it, because having a direct connection, hardwired to your internet is going to be the best connection that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you have a shitty, or your Wi-Fi router that you have doesn't do the 5G or whatever, the 5 gigahertz or whatever it is, connection, that's the stronger connection or whatever, then that's going to be the better way to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Than playing on your phone through Wi-Fi or whatever, or essentially a lot of TVs, because I feel like I don't know, maybe they haven't, but are they still putting like the option to hardwire your TVs into the internet, in the smart TVs and stuff? I wonder. Like, I don't really know. I haven't really kept up with that as much, but because I know mine has the ability to hardwire the internet into it, but I want to say that there might be some TVs that are only Wi-Fi connected for internet if you have a smart TV. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe that isn't so.
I don't know. But with Xbox talking about putting Game Pass wherever they can, right? Like I've actually been playing a little bit of Outriders through the browser on my phone in bed a little bit.
Yeah.
And it works better than remote play, which is hilarious. Like, I mean, because the Xbox app has remote play, and since I have an iPhone, I can't play Game Pass games through the app, right? Like I have to play through the browser, but it works better through the browser than it does on the app.
Yeah.
Which might just be like a phone thing, right? Like if you have your TV hardwired in as a smart TV and Game Pass ends up coming to smart TVs, that might be a better way to go, right?
Yeah.
But the browser is an amazing. I can't believe that it works that well. I just can't. I can't believe that the browser gaming works that well. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, with like Starfield will come to Game Pass day one, and you can play it through your browser as long as you have a browser and a controller that you can plug in or via Bluetooth. Like, you can play Starfield for $15 or $10.
Yeah, because I mean, essentially, your Microsoft account can very easily, if you have a Windows PC, or whatever, or even if you don't, you can create a Microsoft account. You can create a account. You can sign up for it. You don't have to have an Xbox. You don't, like you said, you don't even need a PC that can play games anymore.
There's going to be deals all the time. You can sign up for Game Pass a new Game Pass Ultimate subscriber can get 3 months for $1 right now.
Yeah.
So
you can essentially, when that game comes out, if you really, really want to play it and you only have a PlayStation, there is a million ways that you can do it for $1.
And this also, like, I mean, I know Game Pass is like what they're pushing, but this could also be a Trojan horse for a Series S. You know how many people that are primarily PlayStation gamers that I know are like, oh yeah, Series S is my Game Pass machine. I have a Series S. It's amazing. It's the best. It's my favorite console I own, and I have a Series X. It's
Wait, how much does that thing cost? Is it like $200? How much is it?
$299.
What? Yeah. Then...
Some places are selling it for $279 right now. I saw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some of them are bundling it with 3 months of Game Pass.
I swear, it looks like Series S would be the console I put downstairs in the living room, because I'm stingy with my consoles. They're upstairs in my room.
By the way, most Xbox games run at 1440p 60 on this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Destiny
it can
2
do
runs
up-res too. It can run 4K But it's just doing the checkerboarded, which
Also,
who cares?
Destiny
Who cares?
Destiny 2's Crucible mode can run at 1080p 120 on Series S. It can run at 120 frames a second. So
yeah, it's an impressive, like it's early on and it's been doing some pretty impressive things for the price range. And I didn't really put it in our news or anything, but like they've been talking about how like from that whole epic trial stuff, which maybe you'll have to talk about that some more, even on Boss Rush. But like all the stuff that's been happening around that, but like Xbox essentially saying that they've never made a profit off of their consoles ever.
Which, I mean, that's understand. Like most companies don't. Like most companies will break even.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the PlayStation 4 made a profit day one, but it was like $8 a console, I think. Which, I mean, I guess if you sell 1 million consoles, that's $8 million, right? I mean, that's still a lot of money. But Nintendo usually breaks even at launch and then ends up making money later down the line. But Microsoft can eat the cost, right? They're Microsoft. They can eat the cost on the consoles and make money on the back end through game sales. And I know Game Pass isn't profitable yet, but like at some point, if you get enough subscribers at even $10 a month, right? Like they're at what'd they say, 23 million subscribers at this point?
Yeah.
On an average of $10 a month, right? That's it's 200. That's $230 million a month that you're making in revenue. And I know they're making deals, and I know it costs money to run the servers and stuff, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of money. And at the end of the day, 1 year of Game Pass can fund your first party production for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing, like Netflix, it was the same with Netflix. It was, like it wasn't nearly as profitable in the beginning. I mean, the only reason they had profit in the beginning is because it was essentially no different than a movie rental place, but you could just do it through the mail, right? And so like they had very little digital stuff online that you could watch instantly. But
to that extent, in that conversation too, everybody's like, well, if Game Pass isn't profitable, why does it exist? Well, Netflix just turned a profit for the first time like 3 years ago. So, and it's been around since the early 2000s.
And they've still been putting a lot of money into, it wasn't like that year that they turned a profit, they stopped investing in shows. Like it was because it finally had gotten to the point of where it breaks the fever or whatever you want to call it. Like it just it like has to push past that barrier. And so as we completely go off topic, but
I mean it's not though, because like if Starfield's exclusive, that's a big that's a console seller. I mean, if you don't like playing PC games, Starfield is a console seller. And if you don't want to pay $70, right? Like even if you are a PC gamer, like you can either add it to your Steam library by paying $70, or you can pay your $10 and play it through Game Pass. So either way, Microsoft's winning, right? Because they're like, oh, well, we got another Game Pass subscriber, or hey, we just made 70% of that $70 sale off Steam, or 30% off Steam. Or if they buy it directly through Xbox, somebody doesn't want Game Pass. We know one in particular person that may appear on the show from time to time that doesn't believe in Game Pass. Ed. Sorry, Ed. I had to call you out. We got to do it at least once a show. You're not here. But like you make that $70 purchase on Xbox, like that all goes to Microsoft now. So Microsoft isn't losing any way you slice this pie.
And like I mean, and there even like there was talks about it. I don't know now for sure whether it's going to happen but I talked about this last week that, well, I mean, we know for sure that they're doing stuff on the Microsoft Store on PC. They're cutting their profits and giving more of the profit to the to the developers and stuff. But and there's some other stuff too. Like apparently they're working on a new store that will actually be something people want to use. but that's another whole topic. So
yeah, I heard that they were trying to do that too. Was building new
which I hope they do, because I mean it like it would be nice to have if stuff that you want to find and you're willing to use their store, but it just needs to be better for you, then that should be something. And they've talked about how they're trying to be better for the people who want to play games on PC and stuff too, so that would only make sense.
Yeah.
All right, so the next topic we have is I kind of just in general this update that we recently got to the Series X. You most likely have probably experienced most of it. You've noticed or heard about the different like live backgrounds and stuff now that you can put on. I personally I have that original Xbox flubber looking mutating thing going on in the background at all times on mine.
You said flubber.
Yeah, that's what that reminded me of, was flubber, like that original Xbox startup where that like green glob is kind of mutating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got that one on mine, but so yeah, there's obviously that, but one of the really cool things, and I just added it actually just today to my screen, my main screen on my Xbox, but I love that they finally put a thing where now you can it shows all of your games that are sitting there waiting for the quick resume. So now you can actually post that up on your Xbox and see what games are in quick resume right now, on your Xbox. And now you can kind of either shut those games off that you don't want to be in quick resume, or click on the games that are already ready for you to just hop right back into. And I think that was a absolutely great addition to helping people understand what games are in quick resume at the time, because sometimes you may forget what games, or honestly be surprised what games are still in quick resume that you played like 2 months ago, like mine.
Yeah, I was playing, like, there's certain games that quick resume doesn't really work on. Like, I know Destiny is definitely one, because it requires you to connect to a server and then it'll kick you out if you're not playing. You know what I mean? Like, there's that.
Yeah.
But one game, like, I was playing Gears Hive Busters at one point on my Series X, and I quit. Like, I stopped playing and I was playing something else. This was like 2 months ago. I turned it on the other day and I was like, man, I should probably finish Hive Busters at some point. It literally loaded right into where I was when I quit playing 2 months ago. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, let's just keep going, I guess. It was cool.
And
it did it through like the console update and everything. It just saved my place.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the quick resume stuff, like, as long as it's implemented, it's kind of, it's not similar in what it does, but similar in comparison to, like the kind of the nice thing of having it there, like, kind of like the controls and stuff, and the haptic feedback that's in the PS5. Like, when a game actually implements those things and uses it, it's an awesome thing to have. And that's kind of how it feels with the quick resume. Is, it's just an awesome thing that we maybe didn't even realize that we wanted, that's just really been nice to have. So there's the quick resume stuff. They've kind of did that. There's also some new audio pass-through features for media apps and new dynamic backgrounds for Xbox Series X, like I said. So yeah, there's so with the whole pass-through stuff, so essentially it's giving people the option to use some of their other like things that maybe people want to use instead to adjust sound and things like that outside of the Xbox, I guess. I don't know a whole lot about that personally, but and they also have been making some pretty nice updates on the mobile app and things like that. So there's a lot of this was kind of cool too, I thought. So per title multiplayer permission. So like you can essentially in the app now you can go in and pick exactly what games in your library you want to be allowed for your kids to be able to play online on and not have to like always be monitoring everything and try to have to when they want to play something be like, okay, let me hop on the app and like you can just all have it preset for certain things to allow kids to be able to play multiplayer on whatever titles you give permission to, which is just kind of a nice little thing that they added. So yeah, that's pretty
really
much
cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. But yeah, I mean, not it's one of those things. It's not really a whole lot of talking topic, but just kind of a cool,
well, I mean,
cool thing.
it's cool because like there's games that are rated mature, like Halo, right?
Mhm.
Which is like,
Yeah.
okay, we're shooting aliens, whatever, right?
Yeah,
It's not really gory or anything. It's just shooting guns. But then you get games like Gears or Doom that are just over the top gory that are also rated mature, and it's like, well, I don't really care if a 10-year-old plays Halo, but I don't really need a 10-year-old playing Gears or Doom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too much, especially nightmares, all those kinds of things as well. Like because that's like with my son, now is being 10 and there's been some horror movies and stuff. He's definitely showing that interest in horror movies like his mom and dad have, and so he's been wanting to watch a lot of horror movies and stuff like that. And yeah, there's certain things that I'm like, oh yeah, this technically isn't for your age quite yet, but it's nothing that like I know my son enough that he'll be able to handle this or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same thing because he actually did last year he started playing the first Halo, and he was playing through the campaign for the longest time and was really enjoying it. I kind of helped him get started and kind of figure things out a little bit.
You didn't play split screen multiplayer with him?
No,
Terrible dad.
No. I'll be honest. He'll probably enjoy the game better if I'm not playing with him.
That's fair.
I don't wanna be like telling him what to do and everything. I want him to be able to figure that stuff out on his own. And then when he's getting used to games like that, then I'll play with him and we can both enjoy it then. But but that is cool. I really do like kind of the stuff that they've really been trying to do with the whole like family stuff, parental stuff, all those kinds of fun things, kind of like with the what the Nintendo Switch kind of did with their app. And I think doesn't PS4 and 5 have a whole like app too that you can use for setting things up, or like some kind of like features where you can. I thought they had that stuff too.
I think they have something similar.
They do, but given that I don't have children,
no.
I believe I believe there's a parental setting and stuff like that. There's ways for adults to like basically lock down things so that your kids you know, aren't, you know, going on doing stuff that you'd rather not them doing and things like that. They have it. I've just never looked into it because I mean, like, I've been a single man for all my adult life. Well, not. Oh wait, hold on. The way I'm saying that sounds like I've never I've never actually been in a relationship. I've been an unattached man with with no kids all my adult life. So
there's no, you mean, so you're saying there's no game that you think maybe you won't be able to handle and you're not going to allow yourself to play? Oh, I probably shouldn't play this.
I ran myself through the trauma of Alien Isolation, so I think I'm good.
Yeah, so yeah, that there's all that kind of, and so the next thing I have, this is kind of another just cool move on their part. It's nothing like super big, but I mean it is a big deal. But so Xbox Party Chat is getting text to speech and speech to text for accessibility. You know, like helping out, you know, disabled gamers and stuff, which, you know, is awesome. Like I'm not gonna lie, I think I might actually just try this, like turn it on even though I don't need it, just to see like what kind of voice are they gonna have? Are they gonna have Master Chief talking and saying out?
It's Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, now I'm curious. Now that you said that, I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or is it just gonna be Cortana? You know, like, is it just gonna be Cortana saying everything? Which
like she does in Windows.
I don't. Yeah, which is what it is. I don't, you know, I don't mind it. I don't really use any of those things other than the, you know, hey Google or whatever, which I just probably made someone's stuff activate. But you know, like Google. Yeah, I do that for, you know, and because my lights now that I have like are activated by Google. But yeah, like other than that, I've never really used any of that stuff other than I guess occasionally. Well, yeah, no, I didn't even use that. I occasionally on my phone I will do talk to text on my phone, like if I'm driving and someone messaged me or something and I don't want to, you know, be a bad driver futzing on my phone while I should be paying attention to the road. I will do the talk to text, you know, like, and then just send a text that way or whatever. But yeah, I don't really use that kind of stuff. But I mean, you know, obviously this isn't for me anyways. This is for someone who truly, you know, needs it to be able to get the best out of what, you know, what they want to do and stuff. So it's, you know, it's just yet again another great thing that they're working on to try to help people who, you know, it's not as easy for them to do those things, be able to do it with ease and not even have to think about it anymore. So that's cool. And the next thing is something that some people have been saying they probably should have done a long time ago, but Microsoft is making using the console purchase pilot to fight against scalping. So essentially you can, right from your Xbox, you know, last gen Xbox or whatever, you're able to try to buy Xboxes through that, but it's like an actual app that doesn't allow you to buy like tons of them. Like you essentially, it's kind of similar to, in a way, I think, to the whole ticket system that Sony kind of did in the beginning with the PS5. But this way, it's kind of like you get your place in line, and either you get one, you know, you're able to get one in those shipments or not, and it's, you know, and it's just essentially one per console is what I would imagine. So yeah, I honestly, anything that someone's doing to fight scalping is gonna get, hand clap from me, because it
Mhm.
really is annoying, and and it's hitting everyone. People, like trying to get stuff for PC and get the graphics cards and stuff for PCs and GPUs or whatever, and like, I mean, everyone is really seeing just how disappointing scalping can be,
Yeah.
especially.
I, s- I honestly still feel like people are gonna find a way to like circumnavigate this system. It's just a thing. Like I really wish it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing that PlayStation's doing. If you would through PlayStation Direct, right, you have to log in through your PlayStation account, and you're only allowed to buy one console per account. But there's been people who have bought, multiple ones through
Yep.
that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's a nice, I guess it's a nice gesture, but there's always going to be somebody working around the system.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, then I guess then that starts to make you think, well, do they only allow people whose accounts are more than like a week old be able to use it? Like, have like a almost like a like Microsoft, we know, is paying attention to how long you've had an Xbox Live account. Like where we were getting extra things for, if you were an early adopter of the original Xbox Live, on the very first Xbox, you got like a special, like limited, like, or not limited, but you got a special uh, icon thing or whatever that said that you were, day one adopter or whatever,
Yeah.
and or earlier adopter, and I mean, like, do you? Because yeah, maybe someone authentically would get blocked out, but I feel like if you're really like, if you like, what are the odds that you bought a PlayStation 4 and just, a long time ago, and just were getting PS Now or whatever, or just getting, Xbox Live that day or whatever, like have it just go, or even just go by seniority, like work your way down. And so then the scalpers who just started an account or whatever, those accounts would be left for last, like,
Yeah.
I mean, there is ways they could technically like defeat it without saying that you absolutely don't have, a chance of getting one, but yeah, I mean, that I guess all I'm saying is I'm just glad that they're trying to do something about it,
Yeah.
because it's very obvious people like or things like Amazon and all that stuff just don't give a shit, because either way they're making money off of the console. That's all they care about. They don't care about if who's not getting one, or who is or isn't. And so like, I'm glad that they're trying to do something on their end, because they kind of they almost have to, because I mean, there were a lot of people that were calling them out and saying, hey, Microsoft, figure something out, make, like, for this. And I mean, I guess this just shows that at least they're listening, but like you guys said, I mean, I'm sure someone will figure something else around it, but
Yeah.
but I'm just glad that they're at least trying to do something.
I just hope that it works the way they intend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. And yeah, who knows? Like, over time, maybe it's something that will get better. They'll get better at, or whatever. But yeah. All right. So the last thing that I had here is, some people may have gotten their hopes up. I really didn't. I didn't really honestly know what to think about this when I first seen any rumors of it. But the Gears devs shoot down the Star Wars game rumor.
Yeah.
Because there was that rumor that they were working on a Star Wars game, which would have been pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
The rumor was they were working on a Republic Commando spiritual successor that had to do with the Bad Batch, which would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
But I guess not. If Rod Ferguson was still there, they would have.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not gonna say that there is hope somewhere that maybe it is still a thing, but the thing is it's like the Wild West sometimes, and some of these things they're trying to direct you all over the place and hope that they can confuse you and you don't know what's real and what's fake. So, but but they did say that they are working on multiple things. So I mean, we know we're not getting Gears 6 anytime soon.
Lame.
We know that,
it's like,
but I honestly though, what if they are working on new IP though? Like I honestly would. I mean, I would like to see.
I hope they are working on a new IP.
Well, remember when the Coalition was formed and they were called Black Tusk?
Yeah.
And they were working on that that third-person stealth game called codenamed Shanghai. It was like a Die Hard style game where it takes place in a skyscraper in Shanghai and you work your way up the skyscraper to like save some people. That was that was their first project. And then when Microsoft ended up buying Gears from Epic, they renamed them the Coalition and put them on Gears because they had hired Rod Ferguson. They had brought a bunch of Gears devs over from Epic who didn't want to work on Fortnite. I mean, the rest is history, but maybe Shanghai is coming back, which would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of been something that we've seen from Microsoft with this new version of them, of where they're wanting to let these devs do their passion projects. So I mean, like if there was still any sort of like want for these devs to get a chance to finish that game, like I mean now would be a great time for that, I think, to happen. I mean, I'd love to see some new IP. I mean, and
I
we
also
know
want
they can
Gears
do
6
stuff.
because Gears 5 was so good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, we all do, but we know that's gonna come someday. But it is kind of nice, I think, that hopefully they are gonna get a little bit of a break from it, and maybe from this new IP, that if it is a new IP even, I mean, that's the thing, is we don't really know exactly for sure what it is, but if it is a new IP, I mean, maybe they come away from that with some aha moment that like adds something even better to Gears when they do work on the next one. Like, I mean, look at Sunset Overdrive, and then they went from that to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, from all accounts, is a phenomenal game. Like, and a lot of it was taken from Sunset Overdrive. Like, so I mean, maybe this is their opportunity, because I believe there's aren't they working on like a new engine stuff for Gears?
I mean, it's just Unreal 5 instead of Unreal 4, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Man, side tangent.
Yeah.
Look how many cool games that like Microsoft published like a predecessor to. Like, you look at Quantum Break, right? Which is basically the prequel to Control. Like, what a cool game. I actually just re-downloaded it so I could try to finish it at some point.
I loved that game.
And then you look at Sunset Overdrive, which is, you even in the new Ratchet and Clank trailer, you see the way that they jump and kind of like wall run and stuff. That's clearly like, I don't know what came first, but that there's some Sunset Overdrive animation in there. And then Spider-Man, obviously, swinging around and whatever. If Microsoft wouldn't have effed up the launch and like that launch window, Like they could have really tied up some really cool studios for a while, and they effed it
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing great now, right? Like they're doing a lot of great things now, but they had some killer titles that they just let it get away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's I think the thing that makes me hopeful though is just how much of a positive stance they've kind of been trying to take in the gaming world, in general. Them throwing praises to Sony and them throwing praises to Nintendo when they have some major accomplishments, and and just kind of like trying to like kind of be something that's trying to bring everything together a little bit. I mean, like I've just been kind of noticing that a lot more lately, like when they do talk, probably because it's not as often lately, with COVID and stuff. A lot of stuff has just kind of been it's been a little bit more on the jumbled side, but I just noticed like that there's just such a massive change that has happened from even a couple of years ago. Like things are they're just going about things so much differently, and so like, back to but that kind of goes back to like this whole gear stuff and like what we were talking about. Like I just do hope that we do get to see some like more, even just small projects from some of these, if they want to do some like passion project of something that like we normally would only see from like an indie game, but with a much more polish and like a big budget behind it, but getting to do some of these like things that they normally wouldn't be able to do in a bigger budget game. That's kind of what I imagine, this kind of opportunity that they're trying to give these developers. Just from the way that they've kind of been showing that they want to let people do the things that they want to do and not tell them, hey, you've got to make a Halo, or hey, you've got to make this, or you've got to make that, and that's all you can do while you're with us. Like it seems like they're trying to distance themselves from that and give more time when they need it. Like look at Halo Infinite. Like they I mean, they had nothing.
Talk about taking their time.
Well, and they had nothing, and for them to have the balls to just be like, yeah, we don't have any games coming right now, and the only one that you were planning on coming out, we're gonna delay that another year. that took a lot of.
I just want to know what was going on behind the scenes that basically got the flagship title for the launch delayed so long.
Well,
I would really like to know.
343 is infamous for having production pipeline issues. Like, even way back to Halo 4 when they were doing that, it's like, man, even when I think when, let's see, Bungie did Reach, and then even with Halo 4's production schedule, that game was supposed to come out a year before it did too, and then they actually thought about pushing it another year to launch on the Xbox One, but they decided to push it out on 360. Which, by the way, for the record, I still think Halo 4 is the best Halo. I know a lot of people disagree with me. I'm okay with that. I don't care. But yeah, even Halo 5 was supposed to be like this kind of semi-open world with hub areas that you could explore and take on side missions and stuff. They lost 2 directors and whatever. Like it's 343's just been a mess forever. Which, I want Halo Infinite to be good. I really hope that it's good. But yeah, I don't know. It's I kind of forgot where the conversation was going, but
well, just with with Halo, like with it taking, with them kind of giving the option of letting developers and stuff have the time they need. Yeah, dang it, I wish I had it in front of me because to have my facts straight on it, but there was something I did come across recently where one of the ex Halo developers or something that was working with 343 and seen Halo Infinite and its in its recent creation and stuff like that, that they had said that part of the problem with Halo Infinite and why it got delayed is because they were kind of taking on way too much and trying to be way too ambitious with what they were trying to accomplish on it. And I think part of that is, this kind of, unfortunately, the situation that they're in where they're like have to make this game like be the, like feel like the best thing ever, because everyone's saying that is it's got to be the best thing ever, or otherwise it's going to be a failure for them, and it's going to be a failure for Xbox, and it's going to be a failure. So there's a lot of stress they're riding on.
I understand that to an extent. Like, Halo is their flagship franchise, and they haven't, they say they haven't had a good one in years, which I actually think Halo 5's multiplayer is the best it's ever been. It's awesome. Halo 5's multiplayer is awesome. The story sucked, right? Like, I played through that game 3 times. I still don't know what happened. But yeah, I feel like they have to nail the campaign. They have to nail the co-op. They have to nail the multiplayer. There's so many little aspects that they have to nail, and there's so many new things going into this game that it's like, okay, well, it's at least semi-open world. We know that, right? New engine, new, like, kind of not protagonist, but a new character that they're introducing that we still don't have a name for, so he's got to be important somehow. They're implementing an enemy that was only in a game that barely anybody played in Halo Wars 2, right? Like, they're implementing the what are they called?
Was it the Brute? No.
The Brutes are the race, but I forget what they're called. It's all right. I hope Luke Lore doesn't listen to this, because he's gonna. Halo Wars 2 is like his favorite game. But yeah, there's just so many things. Plus, like, the development hell that game's been in, there's so many things working against this game that I really hope that they pull it off. Which, by the way, I know everybody loves Halo 2. Infamously had one of the worst development cycles of any game in history. And it's everybody's favorite Halo. So you can point to that and say, well, maybe this one will be all right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, or, like you said, like, kind of however you want to look at it. But yeah, I mean, Halo is a franchise in general. It has had quite a few rocky, develops for some of those games that, ended up being amazing games. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to kind of compare, I mean, there's still that worry. I mean, look at, what happened with Anthem, with, when you have a name or or whatever, but and then a team, and that might be different than what was originally there or whatever. But I that's the thing, is I don't really doubt that 343 can make a good game, because like you said, like, I think they do a well enough job with things, but I can see where the stress kind of them feeling like they've got to, like, overachieve, end up being something that gets in their way. And it seems like that might possibly be what was happening, is them trying to overachieve and just getting in their way. But if I remember correctly, though, this ex developer though also said that he's seen stuff And you know, that early video that we got of it and that people just tore apart, the problem with a lot of that stuff was they didn't have everything implemented that they had planned on having in it. It was just it was one of those situations where they probably would have just been best to not show anything until it was ready, until they had something ready that they could give a good, representation of what it was going to be, or a better one anyways. So I mean, either way, I'm excited, and I honestly, I think it's going to end up being a really good game. I don't see it failing whatsoever. I think if anything, it's going to just be like, maybe the fans of Halo like love it, and it doesn't maybe bring as many new people to it as they would hope, like at the worst.
Well,
But I don't
will
I
it?
don't
Because
think it's gonna fail.
because I I feel like with its multiplayer being free to play,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
it being on
completely
Game
forgot about
Pass,
that.
I feel like this has the potential of being the most successful Halo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I completely forgot about the whole, like, yeah, the free to that they're on, the multiplayer will be free to play. And yeah, and I mean, if they, like, look at, there was people who wanted a story mode for Overwatch and stuff, and now they're doing that. So I mean, if you look at it that way, where here, you've got a game that's multiplayer and anyone can play, and they're like, hey, I would really like to know more about these characters that I'm playing as. Maybe I will go check out the actual game. So yeah, you're right on that. I completely forgot about the fact that it was free to play, because I'm just not used to a Halo multiplayer being free to play. But
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, LeRon,
Yeah,
I know you don't care about Halo.
Yeah.
Not.
There's
I'm
no
not the-
monster hunting in Halo. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I played Combat Evolved. I had fun with that. Me and a buddy played we did the side by side thing, because I remember that we did the side by side thing on that one, and it just never stuck with me long enough to stick around. I keep telling myself, if I actually was an active Xbox like consumer, like I would probably be playing all the Halo games and stuff like that. I do have the Master Chief Collection though from Game Pass. Just having just gotten the gumption up to start.
Here's the thing though, is like I understand like Halo made the Xbox, but I feel like for me at least, there are so many other franchises that I like. Not that I don't like Halo. I love Halo. But there's so many other Xbox franchises that I love that I would love to see come back at some point, or them get a sequel. Like Gears is probably my favorite by far Xbox franchise. I'm excited for the new Fable. I'm excited for Perfect Dark. I want a new Conquer. I want a new Banjo. Even that Battletoads game that came out last year was it was kind of fun, and I was like, man, if they made a Ninja Turtles game like this, it'd be awesome. And here we go, they're going to, right? But I don't know. I'm of the mind as long as Halo is good, it plays good, the campaign is better than Halo 5's, and they just keep going with it with Game Pass going on, it's like Halo's going to be fine. Xbox has so much in development right now that, even if Halo isn't the perfect 10 that people think it should be, I think the Xbox is going to be fine.
Well, yeah, we still got a perfect 10 game coming, to Xbox this year in Flight Simulator. I know that's kind of a niche game, but I mean, that's the thing, we definitely, at least we know that the Xbox that goes 5 years without having any real new exclusives or new IPs coming out and stuff like that, that Xbox doesn't exist anymore. So but as far as the Halo goes, I've never really been too worried about it. I've had my my times where I'm just like, well, what if this or that? But I honestly, like, if it's anything like Gears 5 was, where they opened it up, it's funny, it like still to this day it's just crazy how just that little bit of a change that they made to Gears 5, and like focusing on a different character, for me, like, just that game was so amazing. It's like honestly, I didn't care about Gears as much as you do, Corey, until like honestly Gears 5 made me care more about the franchise, because I really liked that story that they did in that. So if they switch it up and they kind of do, and it's something similar like that for Halo Infinite, like honestly, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All for it. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. So since I brought it back, we're gonna throw up the X.
Come on,
LeRon. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But before we exit, LeRon, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media at Exodus803, EXODUS803. It's also find me on Twitch with that handle. Also on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, all that good stuff. I am one of the hosts for the Crossroads PlayStation podcast show for Boss Rush Network. I was about to say Boss Rush Games, but we're rebranded now.
Tired.
Yeah,
It's bedtime.
To be fair, I said BossRushGames.com. I said in the beginning, but I think we're changing. Or is that staying? I forget. Is that staying the same, or is it technically we've got both now?
We've got both.
Yeah, where you can go to either. You can go to either.
Both,
yeah.
So catch me on my Twitch channel Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Well, 8:30, depending on who we have in our third chair. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about PlayStation there, and then come back on Wednesday night at 8:30. Same location for Hunters for Hire, the Monster Hunter podcast. And I'm usually a regular fixture on the Boss Rush podcast that happens weekly.
All right. And Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at IamCoreyNHD. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast. You can find me hosting Tower Casuals, our Destiny podcast, and you can find me floating around the other shows. Also, check out our archive stream, It's Our Party, where Ed, Celeste, and Stephanie and I played like 2.5 hours of Mario Party.
Yeah, I want to do that with you guys one of these days. And shout out to Kayla from Bad Bitches. She's got a Switch and she's got Mario Party now. I said, you realize now you're gonna have to come on our shows and talk about games now, because she should come on.
No, she should come on, and we'll just make a drinking game, but just for her, to where like every time she loses a mini game, she has to drink.
Oh boy,
like a half hour in.
Because she's like, now I don't get any podcasting done because I just want to play on the Switch. So I was like, I joked it's not really a joke. If she wanted to, I said you'd be, more than welcome to come and talk about games on Boss Rush podcast one of these days if you want. As for me, you can find me everywhere as Phantom NXS. Yes, even on PSN now. So, all right, we'll throw up the X one more time. Sorry for the fake out, folks, because we're about to exit. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Have a good night.